Hello and welcome. Good evening. It's another episode of Through Deep Waters, the Young Nations podcast. I know you have a lot of burning questions. What do you do if you're a fitness coach or a boxing coach and you have no platform to use? What do you do if you want your scheduling to be easier as a fitness coach? What do you do if you have a business idea but no capital to support it? Find out in today's episode on Through Deep Waters, the Young Nations podcast.
Can you be too young to be an entrepreneur? What goes into it? And we're here to learn all these questions and more from the young entrepreneur himself, my man.
You shook the entire table and every microphone.
There's no shaking on the sound bites, so that's all you. Alright? But my man Aidan Wood. Aidan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
I was about to leave me hanging.
Just saying, Alhamdulillah. This is take 4.
Take 47.
Finally.
No, it's take 5.
This is take 5?
I think so.
This is take 5.
Yeah, because we did 4 fails, so this is 5.
Bro, so the first one, within 30 seconds, we had to cut because obviously Hussein said some things that were not allowed to be said. The second time...
Shout out to a very special person, to Aidan, who will know themselves after this episode.
Why you gotta make it weird, bro?
That's...
What's wrong
Moving on swiftly. This is episode 15/16.
I hope it's 16. We had some technical difficulties with 15. We might have 15, we might not. So this might be 15 or it might be 16.
Anyways, guys, how's your weeks been? I know you guys both unofficially, but you guys have graduated this week pretty much. You've had your graduation send off.
That's not the complication.
different.
That's different.
That's like a precursor. That's like a butter you up for exams kind of thing.
But you only have one exam, don't you?
No, I have two.
2 exams.
Two.
How many do you have, Zaid?
I have no exam. But I have assignments. Like I have still assignments that are doing a big project.
You have no more classes.
Yes,
And
we are done classes.
Yesterday was the last class of undergrad, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you feel, Aidan?
I didn't go.
Why?
So it felt great. What?
You felt great?
I don't know. It was. It felt good to be done school, but yeah, I didn't go to my final class.
Fair enough, man.
You know.
Like a lot of people, I noticed that a lot of people didn't go, but for me, I just wanted to go and take in the room one last time, take in the class. And
Yeah,
Zaid spent the entire class whining about his hair. I keep getting pictures from Zaid. I'm so angry about my haircut. I just had the worst haircut of my life. I want to die.
Okay, let me explain. Every episode, except maybe the first episode, but every episode since then, up until now, you've seen me wearing a cap. Now, somebody has made me wear this cap. I'm not going to get into what, why, who, and where, but I had like a mandate. I had to wear this cap.
A mandate.
Yeah, it was mandate.
That's sugarcoating.
Right, it was a mandate. No, like it was all good. I was being respectful to certain people, but it was a mandate, right? So yesterday I wanted to get my hair cut because I had like graduation send off today and I have my grad photos tomorrow, right? So I was like, okay, let me get a haircut and hit both things in one thing so I look fresh for both. So I went to the barber. The barber he ruined my hair, bro. I can't even lie. I won't expose that barber, but like, you know, he's a good barber. He's cut me like nicely so many times before. Like shout out to him. It's probably just one bad haircut, but it was like back was longer than the front, and one face started up here and one face started down here. It was like a lot of, you know. So I came out of it, and then I was confused. I called him back. I was like, yo, can you come fix the haircut? He said, no, I'm busy. No problem. Okay, do your thing. But then I have to act because I can't, you know.
Yeah.
So I went to Hussein's barber. Shout
Who
out
is
Simon,
actually Aidan's barber.
you know.
Shout out Simon.
So we went to him, and he fixed up my hair, and basically to save it, we had to chop it short. So that's why my hair looks like this. That's why I'm able to come out today without a cap, because my hair is not long. But yeah, that's the story on that. Aidan, how's your week been?
My week has kind of sucked, to be honest. It's just been school. Lots of assignments and
Just raise your voice a little bit.
lots of assignments and lots of deliverables. Trying to get through it all. I have 4 deliverables left, so I can count on one hand how many things I have left till I'm done school.
Are they like big projects or smaller?
One of them is a big project. One of them, well, I mean, they're all big projects, but one of them is sufficiently bigger. One of them is our FYDP report, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that's done. And then after that, it's just like course assignments, final projects, term projects, all that kind of stuff. So like 30-40% of your mark.
You're in the home stretch though.
Yeah.
In the home stretch.
This
and then
time
we're
next
done.
week, you'll be done most things?
This time next week, I'll be done everything except for one final exam.
The capstone?
My last exam is next Thursday, and then I'm done school.
Oh, okay.
And then we're done undergrad, so that's fun.
Almost there.
I'm not gonna lie. So I always knew, like, coming into undergrad from high school, I was supposed to graduate in 2025. Now, God willing, I will graduate before December 2024. But seeing you guys graduate now, I'm so like, I just want to leave. I don't want to study anymore.
I
don't
think
want to
because you made friends with us. Like with
yeah,
our
all
group.
my friends are
It's 'cause
graduating this semester.
You have no friends in the summer.
I will have not like one. I have
I'll
one
be
friend in the
around.
summer.
Don't worry. And Aidan will be doing Phros. Yeah.
No, leave. Go to Toronto, please.
Through Deep Waters will continue. You know. Don't even worry
Inshallah,
about
I'm
that.
still trying to get out of it. I'm doing everything I can.
That's why I make so many gaffes, bro.
Why do you think I'm so far from Zayn?
Yeah. We put him today. We put him on the other side of the table.
He told me, I don't know, something about my breath or something. He was like, you're too close
You have
to everyone
Ramadan
else.
breath. It's Ramadan. Yeah,
We're not even fasting. Moving on.
You make it sound like we don't know. We fast. It's just nighttime when we film this.
Yeah, I said evening at the start.
Anyways,
people know.
just in case, because I forgot. So maybe somebody else out there forgot.
Anyway, so Aidan, what do you do besides school?
What do I do besides school? I hang out with friends.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's your like main priority in life.
What else do you do? Give me two more things that you do.
Sure. I hang out with my girlfriend. And then the final thing is Phros. So I run a company called Phros with, run a company is a strong word. I have a startup with a few friends called Phros.
What's the friends' names? Shout them out.
Yeah, we got Josh D'Souza. He's been a buddy of mine for a long, long time. And then we have Matt Backratty. He just came on as our head of marketing. He runs all of our social media, all of our posts, does some outreach for us. And he's absolutely killing it. He's the one that's been... did you guys see the Will Smith post?
I've seen it. Yeah, we slapped him with the schedule.
I don't know how he comes up. Well, I mean,
How well did that post do? Did it blow up?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention to the marketing or the.
For them, it's different. Like for us, I think it's more important that we watch views and stuff. But for these guys, like it's like how many clients are you connecting with? How many? It's a different business model.
Yeah, we don't really depend on our marketing to bring people in yet. Because we are a startup, everything kind of comes from one-to-one outreach. So just kind of cold calling people, managing your contacts, leveraging your contacts, and right now marketing isn't really it for us. But hopefully, eventually we can, because one-to-one is it's not the most scalable option.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
So eventually, I think we've got the right man. We just need to build up the clout or whatever we need to do.
So let me approach you from pretend like we're not filming podcasts, whatever. I'm just looking. I myself have started my endeavors as a boxing coach.
Sure.
Right. I have a couple of clients.
Yeah, working up.
I have a couple of clients. As of now, I'm not looking to go big, but I've definitely been thinking about it. I've been doing a lot of planning on like how I'm gonna market myself, what I'm gonna use to put all my equipment on, like my online equipment. What do I like? How can I find a platform that'll fill all my needs, like to do an online coaching session?
That's a
it
nice
to you.
segue. That's a layup. Or an alley-oop, sorry.
What can I say?
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely,
it's, I swear to God,
absolutely killed that.
I'm not making any of this up.
No.
I've had this conversation off camera with Aidan too.
He has. I mean, there's a few things. Obviously, you got to set up your Instagram and your different social medias, because without the marketing component, there's really, there's no value to Phros or to having a website, because the point of Phros, I guess the TLDR, is that...
What does TLDR stand for?
Too long, didn't read.
Okay.
And the point of it is to allow fitness professionals, so boxing coaches, soccer academy coaches, personal trainers, personal trainers, yoga instructors, to focus on the things that they're good at. And that's always training. Like for you, it'd be, teaching individuals to become better boxers. For personal trainer, it's to help someone lose weight. And the point of Phros is to allow them to focus on that and not have to worry about their business. So as long as they're making regular social media posts and trying to, grow their social media following, Phros manages everything else. And the only thing you really have to do is go out and train individuals. So
Phros even manages sponsorships for podcast episodes.
Because
today, Phros is our sponsor for this episode. If you use... Let the man drink some water, bro. Don't shake the guy.
Yeah, bro, it's a shake moment.
If you use code TDW22, you will receive 20% off your membership at Phros. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, sorry.
Sir.
Continue. Didn't want to.
Or if you find Aidan and shake him in person,
Yeah.
that's 20% too. You don't need no promo code, nothing for that one. You know, basically.
Every episode.
What?
You don't tell jokes on the podcast. Don't tell jokes on. It's not your thing. You don't do jokes.
Hey,
Wow,
let me tell you
wow.
something. I miss 90% of the time. Before that 10% of time that I hit is worth it. So I'm gonna keep telling jokes.
Okay.
Yo, you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
But
There we
no,
go.
you should not take. Listen, I want you to watch from now on, and if you want to go back and watch our old episodes,
There are
when
many,
Zayd
there are
tells
many.
a joke, okay, I'm gonna be Zayd for a second, right? Okay, hey Aidan, what's red and smells like blue paint?
Blue paint.
Red paint. And he'll look at you uncomfortably for as long as it takes for you to laugh. And it's just like you hear the joke and you're like, okay, that wasn't funny, and then you just see him like, and you just have to laugh. You have to, otherwise, like you're an asshole. No more jokes.
Oh, it was a good joke. Don't worry.
Huh?
Don't listen to him.
I'll go cry in my room by myself.
He's just sad that he's not graduating. So he's trying
I'm
to take
so
out his
sad.
anger.
There you go.
He's just trying to
I'm
take
so
out his
sad.
anger.
I was gonna go somewhere darker, but then I said, let me be quiet.
What,
Let
that
me
I'll
behave
never
myself.
graduate?
Huh?
That I'll never graduate?
No. But I'll tell you after the podcast. I was
No, say it. It's fine.
No, it's not fine.
I can take it.
Because I feel like karma will reverse.
It's okay.
back
It's
on
all in good spirits.
me. You're in good spirits. Anyway, continue.
Moving on.
Okay,
Okay, yeah. So continue telling us
Sure.
about
So
Phros.
where were we? So Phros allows fitness professionals to focus on their business. It manages your cash flows. It manages your website. You can actually create a website with Phros if you need. You can integrate Phros into existing websites. You can sell your classes. You can provide notifications asynchronously to your clients. So if someone signs up for a class through Phros, you don't have to worry about reminding them that they have the class. They'll receive email notifications for whenever you set them up. So you can decide to have them 30 minutes before the class. If it's kind of a boot camp, you can remind them a week in advance, and you can do multiple iterations of that.
So I have a question. How did you come up with the idea, or like recognize the problem when it comes to the solution that Phros
Sure.
provides? How did you recognize that there's a room for a company here to have a space? And what advice would you have for other people for that process of identifying a problem or identifying something where they can intervene?
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting for us. We didn't necessarily come up with the idea, randomly or in the shower or whatever it is, right? Wherever you get your ideas. My co-founder Josh, or one of my co-founders Josh, he goes to a gym in Mississauga called Forge. Shout out Forge. And they contacted him. Obviously, they contacted him in 2021. Back in February 2021, because they had to shut down because of the pandemic, right? All the gyms across Canada had to shut down. They couldn't do any in-person classes, and obviously, they needed a way to make money, because if they don't have people coming in, they can't charge membership fees, right? Or class fees. So John, the founder of Forge, reached out to Josh and said, "Hey, I need a website. I need to be able to sell my classes somehow and manage my classes online." So Josh spun up a simple website. Well, not a simple. He spun up a nice website for him, and put that all together. And everyone was just kind of chatting, and we kind of came to the realization that because it was the pandemic, obviously this was not going to be a problem that was exclusive to John from Forge. So what we did, which is something every entrepreneur should do before kind of dedicating their time to pursuing an idea, is we just started asking around, started messaging personal trainers, messaging gyms, messaging anyone who would respond to us, pretty much, right? Or take the time to listen to us, and just asking them a few pretty simple questions, like how is, and not anything too stressful, casual questions, just how is, what does your business look like right now? How has your business been affected by the pandemic? What kind of changes have you had to make to your business as a result of the pandemic? And, do you think those changes are going to be permanent or, semi-permanent, as in, you'll maintain them, but you will factor back into your business the parts of it that existed pre-pandemic, right? So we had some good feedback on that, and everybody was pretty much realizing the same problems, which were that they needed a way to be able to train people online. They needed to be able to send Zoom links out, process payments, because, a lot of times with personal trainers, they'll come in and they'll have individuals who will pay like on a per class basis. They don't normally have like a subscription like a gym would. Mm-hmm. So they'll come in, they'll bring whatever $50 cash into a session each day, and they'll just hand it to the trainer, and that's how they manage their cash flows. But obviously, you can't do that when you're working online, so they needed a way to process payments as well. Mm-hmm. And the personal training industry and the health industry in general is a technical industry, obviously, because it works with the human body and all that kind of stuff. But it is not a like computer technical industry. There is a lack of
tech savvy expertise
within the fitness industry, and that's somewhere where we came in, or where we thought we could come in and help out. Obviously, we're all engineers, and everyone on the team is an engineer, and we have the expertise to be able to do this. So we came up with Phros, which was in its first iteration was a website builder that was tailored specifically to fitness individuals. Fitness professionals.
This guy said individuals.
I keep saying individuals, bro. Eventually I'll get it right the first time.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I can see, like, it makes so much sense to me how in the pandemic time this would have taken off and been successful and whatever. But now that things are returning to in person, do you face a challenge now to overcome
we don't face a challenge? Like, as I said, one of the questions we actually asked was, do you see yourself changing your business back to the way it was pre-pandemic once all the restrictions are lifted and you can start seeing people in person? And the vast majority of individuals said no, it will never go back to the way it was exactly, because what the pandemic gave them was a dependence on technology. It also forced them to realize that by integrating technology into their businesses, that it could actually make their lives a lot easier and allow them to focus on or focus more on the things that they want to be doing and the things that they're best at, which is training their clients.
That happened with a lot of things in the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Like, you see the hybrid work week, working from home.
Yeah.
People were used to coming in. Working from home was like very, very niche and very small professions or whatever did it. When work from home happened and everybody had to adapt, and like you said, they were forced to integrate technology into what they were doing, then they realized that there's actually room for improvement in that way. So actually, by letting people have a hybrid work model, for example, you come in 2-3 days a week, sometimes maybe you can help save people commuting costs. You might be able to get a smaller office.
Yep.
The company that I was working at, shout out Mapton, they were doing this similar thing. So while I was there, they actually made the announcement that they would be switching to full-time remote, and in-person would now be voluntary. So people could work at that company, which is based in Waterloo, and stay in like Halifax or something.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But, that just kind of shows you like nothing, like the pandemic, even though like it caused us to be a certain way for a while, there's a lot of things that are going to stick.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'd say the pandemic changed the world, for sure.
Yeah.
One of our friends, Sagar, works for Amazon Vancouver.
Yeah.
He's in Waterloo.
Yeah.
He works remotely. Like, it's so normal.
Like, it shows you, but like, do you see there's so much room now for people to come in and help facilitate those things, like Phros is doing in a way, right? So Phros is facilitating that, the new technology influx into the fitness industry, into the personal training industry. So for Phros, that's like an avenue that they filled. So, but there are a lot of these avenues to be filled because pandemic has changed life so much.
Yeah,
we've created new dynamics.
Yeah, and I think with technology, it allows you to connect to people and to opportunities in ways that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. And I think that the pandemic kind of forced people, even though obviously technology was super involved in everybody's daily lives, it forced a new level of dependence.
Like a functional dependence.
Exactly,
now. Yeah.
Exactly.
For me, I realized like this kind of happened and took form and took shape in your summer of 2020. Almost,
No. This was so we started in February, end of February 2021.
Okay.
And then we had our MVP launch in March of 2021, and then we began selling the MVP in.
Oh, so what's the MVP
end
for
of
people
March.
that don't know?
MVP stands for minimum viable product, or most valuable player. So minimum viable product. So that's just kind of a first iteration of whatever you want to make for your product. So obviously everybody has a vision for the future of their company or their product or anything that they want to release. But an MVP, the idea behind an MVP is you get the absolute bare minimum that is usable out to testers or potential clients or whomever it is.
Why would you use a bare minimum rather than like the prototype?
Because the idea, no one in the world, in my opinion, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and I would guess that they would probably tell you this too, is smart enough or in tune enough to release a perfect product on their first go. It's impossible. There's always going to be problems.
Okay, that
it's
makes
not going to
sense.
meet needs perfectly. So the idea with an MVP and why it's so beneficial is you release the bare minimum
So the
that
worst
it
case
achieves
scenario.
a certain, not the worst case scenario, but just it achieves a minimum for
Like baseline, like at
a
least you're gonna
minimum
get
value for your.
Then you would upgrade it through updates and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So the idea is that you release it and then you take in feedback from your clients or your users, and then you iterate based on that feedback. So rather than putting out a product that you think is going to work, the end result is a product that you know is going to work because you've taken in feedback from the people that are going to be using it, right? Whenever you're building a product, you're going to have your own biases, and that's always going to get worked into it. And the only way to really avoid that is to seek feedback from others.
Fair
And
enough.
and with an MVP and the iteration process that comes from that, you can kind of cut all that out throughout the stages. I mean, it's going to take longer. It might cost you more money than it would to potentially just put out a product if you were to get it right. But obviously, everybody knows you're never going to get it right off the first bat. So at the end of the day, it actually saves you money.
Fair enough.
Okay, sounds good. And my other part of the question that I wanted to ask you is like, for younger entrepreneurs who were,
Yeah.
or not entrepreneurs, but let's say somebody sees an idea,
Yeah.
or like how do you have to be on the lookout always for problems to solve, or do you just utilize whatever you run into?
I think that for me, I'm not really a guy that sits there and looks for problems to solve necessarily. I do love solving problems, but I think the idea is that you should just get your feet wet. Like for me, I always knew I wanted to do a startup, and anything that came to me, I decided early on that anything that came to me that I was passionate about or that I thought was a good idea and could work, I was just gonna do. Like I was just gonna figure out how to do it. Right. I'm still currently trying to figure that out with Phros. But I think that there's not really an answer to that question. It's just you just got to do it. Like at the end of the day, you just have to force yourself to start. So that's reaching out to that's like do exactly what we did. Just reach out to people that you think might want to use it and talk to them and hear what they have to say about it.
Like if you think of a potential problem, just like reach out, do some market research, see if that would be viable to pursue, and then go pursue it. And even if you do like 3-4 ideas and your market research comes back that these ideas might not be viable, there's always going to be a next one, and eventually you might hit on one of them and see like a gap for.
Yeah. I mean,
market.
like one interesting thing, I worked at a startup at my last co-op, and the founder was an interesting guy. And he was the kind of guy that was always trying to think of ideas and solve or try to find problems per se. And what he would always do is he would just, if he thought of something, he would text his friends. He's like, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this would work? And it's not people who, like, if he came up with a health tech idea, he wouldn't message like his doctor friends per se. He would message everybody he could. And he'd ask them what their opinions were on it. If he got enough positive feedback, he'd just go with it. He'd give it a shot. And then he would start to obviously focus and dial in on who he was talking to. So if he got enough feedback from his friends, basically just validation saying, this is a good idea. Then he'd start to reach out to, say the example is health tech. Then he'd start to reach out to doctors or whatever. And then start to talk to doctors about the problem.
Okay.
Especially like, so for people our age, like to cater to that, what I think is a big deal that everyone, like it's a mental block that everyone needs to just bypass is the process of getting yourself out there.
Yeah. 100%.
Like another like back to me when I was like, I want to go with Phros. like I want to get my membership, I want to get started, I want to put myself out there. I'm not ready yet, and whatever, right? A lot of that is fear of it not working out.
Yeah.
What if I start marketing myself and I put myself on my like stories and everything, and I start talking to people like, yo, whoever needs a boxing coach, whatever, come hit me up. I have my Phros link here, whatever, and I get like say I have like 500 followers, I get one client.
Yeah.
That'll crush me.
I think one thing that you need to understand is that it's the same for everybody. Whenever somebody starts something, it's always going to be, I mean, there's always unicorns, but it's always going to be a slow burn. It's going to take some effort to start getting the traction that you want to see. And I think that once you actually understand, not just, I mean, it's pretty easy to like conceptually understand it, but once you truly understand that, the lack of the slow burn is not reflective of necessarily your product or reflective of your intelligence or your problem solving skills or whatever it is, and that it is just simply the way it is. Once you overcome that hurdle, then it becomes actually a lot easier to reach out to people. I mean, I've had that problem my whole life. I was a really timid kid, and eventually I just kind of realized that, I had faith that, if you're not asking for people's money, people are willing to help out for the most part. I mean, when you're reaching out to people, it doesn't cost them anything to say, yeah, that's a good idea, or I think that'd be great. It doesn't cost them any money to spend 30 seconds replying to somebody's DM on Instagram. It's not like I was calling them up and then, interviewing them for an hour at a time.
Yeah.
It was just, most of the time it was just Instagram DMs. You're just saying, hey, do you think this is a good idea? And then if they respond, you say, thank you. Would you be willing to talk further about this? And if they're not willing to talk further, that's okay.
At the end of the day, there's no hard feelings.
Yeah.
I think we felt this a lot too with the podcast. I don't know if you felt it, but I felt it. Because it was the same thing about which he mentioned as well, about putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize, for me, I didn't realize, I would be on video. There's hours of footage of me talking or, listening to people talk on the internet, right? There's, stories that I upload. We do funny skits sometimes. There's videos of me acting a fool on, on Instagram and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. The first, I don't know if you remember Hussein, the first video which we uploaded on the channel, on the Instagram page, sorry. The one where I was like, hey guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that we're starting a brand new podcast, Through Deep Waters. I still have that memorized with me today. Because when I took it, I think me and you were arguing about who should take it, because I didn't want to do it, right? And I was so paranoid, I was like, I'm recording myself talking to a camera and I want to put it on my story. That's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. I had to get comfortable with putting myself out there. And it's exactly how Aidan said with the slow burn. Especially for podcasts take time to build audience, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're not just creating short content for people to just see it quickly and leave. Well, now we are with our YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, I guess, but the main product is the podcast, and that's an hour plus, or sometimes just under an hour listen, right? And that needs somebody to be bothered enough about what you're saying to sit with you for an hour and listen to what you're saying. Yeah. That takes time to build. I can't just draw in people like that. It's not like telling somebody to go subscribe to my YouTube Shorts channel or whatever, right? So we feel that a little bit too, that views don't go up as much as we would like in a short amount of time. But it's important to remember, every startup starts at a certain level and it takes time and it's not always indicative of your quality. And if there is improvements in the quality that you can make, you have to be humble about making them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially for podcasts, I mean, podcasts is a lot you're building a relationship with more than most other mediums because it is long form content. It's not like a TikTok, or it's not even short David Dobrik vlogs, right? That are 4 minutes long or whatever there. You're building and fostering a relationship with your viewers, with your listeners, whatever the medium is. So it's always going to take longer because it's kind of like making friends, right? You need to have that. Someone's going to listen to you. Someone's going to listen to your full podcast, and eventually, many people will listen to it, and then eventually one person is going to be like, wow, I really connect with Hussein, or I really connect with Zaid, or I really connect with both, right? And then they're going to start talking to their friends and be like, hey, these dudes, they have a really cool podcast. Let's go listen to it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot like friends, right? When you go to a new school, you meet, that one guy or that one girl, and then they kind of go and they say, that new guy's actually a pretty nice dude. Let's invite him over to the table.
I realized,
and that's the way I look at podcasts. It's building relationships.
With podcasts, I realized social media engagement doesn't translate to views.
Absolutely.
What more translates is word of mouth. Like if someone vouches for me to say like, oh, actually Zayd and Hussein talk, like they have good things to say, go listen to them. Dedicate an hour of your time to listening to them, instead of just seeing the Instagram page and like the 30-second clips or whatever, or the minute clips that we upload and pressing follow and seeing those. You know, so like when somebody vouches for somebody for a podcast, it's like you're stamping it like, yes, take an hour of your time and put it on this. You might not get that from social media, so that's why I encourage as much as possible to like tell people to spread it through word of mouth. Tell your friends, right, through Deep Waters. Spread it through the word of mouth. That's kind of basically our biggest, the way that we grow, right? More than social media engagement or shout outs.
It's the best kind of marketing that you can get. It has the most turnover, or the most, it's the most successful form of marketing.
More retention.
It's more successful than any, Google ad or YouTube ad, is somebody actually going up and telling their friend or telling somebody that they know.
I've been offered to like, oh Zayd, we can buy followers. You can do this, that.
What is that gonna do for you?
Buying followers.
Buying followers, like I'll buy followers, and my page will have like 5,000 followers, but every post will get like 20 likes. It shows, first of all, and second of all, it doesn't improve.
We don't get 20
engagement
likes.
at all.
Come on,
I think.
How many likes do you get?
No, we get probably more than that, but like, well, now it's gonna be embarrassing if we upload this and get less. But we have.
It's okay, you can blame it on me.
We have 20 something, right? No, I
Our
know.
most
on
recent post has 19 likes.
Yeah, because that's a photo of the quote. I know those ones get less likes, but the videos typically get anywhere between 20 to 40 likes.
So this one had.
No, and on that, I don't think buying followers doesn't make any sense in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because what turns into sales is not, if you have 100% user engagement, but you have 100 followers, you're gonna make more money than somebody who has 1% engagement but 1,000 followers.
And
right?
especially
it's all about engagement. If you're buying followers, they're not going to engage with it. All it is a number.
Especially for podcasts too.
Yeah.
You want people like you. I realize too with podcasts, it's very counterproductive to monetize without having, like, if I put 10,000 followers on my page, sure, my page looks like it has 10,000 followers, but who's really, like, if I come on here and tell you, oh, I'm selling you this mug or I'm selling you this, who's really buying that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like.
So, anyways, guys, buy our merch. I'm joking.
It's not for sale. But shout out to Mama for all the merch and stuff that you see on the screen. We got the water bottle, the mug.
Oh, look at this. This is Zayd's mug for graduating environment.
The
school.
alumnus mug.
You're the alumnus
Environment.
too,
I know.
So Zayd's gonna spend the rest of his days saving the turtles and the trees.
I actually wouldn't mind that. If that was actually my career, I would not mind it.
That is so sad.
Put it back. Anyways, but yeah. So Aidan, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So a lot of people they get carried away with the idea that, so when we enter a traditional type of occupation, so when we go into university, it's like 4 years. You're kind of set for what you're doing in those 4 or 5 years. You're going to study here, and then you're going to graduate, and then the expectation is that you will get a job, right? Not many people come to this idea, and I think we're blessed to be at University of Waterloo because they like help foster this type of thinking in a way, right? But not many people come up with business ideas or ideas for them to start their own ventures right out of college or while they're in college or whatever. And some people feel like they're too young. They have to first finish the traditional role of like graduate, get a job, hold that job for a bit, turn 30, turn whatever, and then you have the wisdom to, to further, like to start your own business or create your own venture. What do you say to that? And what's your recommendation? Is there an age limit? Is there like what do you think?
No, I don't think there's an age limit. I, like for example, I was part of the League of Innovators when we started Phros, which is a non-for-profit incubator that you can apply to and get in. And there was actually a group of, I thought when I went there I was going to be the youngest, but there was a group of 16-year-olds who were in, I guess, grade 10 or 11, who had started up their own venture. I don't remember what it was, but there really is no age limit for entrepreneurship. Anybody can do it. I think actually the younger you are, the better, because the younger you are, I mean, if you're fortunate enough, you'll have less risk. You don't necessarily have a younger person's less likely to have a mortgage. They're less likely to have a family that's dependent on them. They're less likely to have children,
But
animals.
equally, they're less likely to have the capital to start a business.
Exactly. But now that we're in the internet era, the era of technology, you don't necessarily need capital to get a product out there. You can start, especially
if the product is digital.
You you can learn everything you need to do to start a software company, or you can learn everything you need to learn to start a software company through YouTube. If you just watch enough YouTube videos, eventually you can learn enough to code up whatever product you need or whatever product you want to code up. And that's not going to cost you a dime other than, maybe $10 a year for some hosting fees.
That's like our other pod, like our actually genuine pod, like our podcast sponsor who comes on recurringly. Shout out Manuel Diary. That's what he did. Our cousin, he came, like he was in med school. He left med school and he was like, okay, York University. Remember when they were on strike? So they're on strike. He can't go uni. He's out of med school. What does he do? He sits in his room. He teaches himself how to code. Now he has an app on the App Store and it sells and he's making like that his business.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think actually the younger you are, the better it is, because the thing that I told myself is that, and this could be completely wrong. This is just something that I felt I needed to do. I felt that if I wasn't brave enough to do it now, there was no way I was going to be brave enough to do it when I was older. Because when I'm older, I would like to have a family and I would like to have kids and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
Now that leads me into my next thing because
Sure.
I was going to flip the script. Can you be too old?
Never. You can never. The founder of McDonald's was
Shout
like
out Gary
69
Vee.
or something like that.
What?
The founder of McDonald's was like 68 or 69
And
when he
the
founded
KFC
McDonald's.
guy, didn't he hit his first million at like 75 or something? The KFC guy?
Yeah,
Something like that as well.
I don't know
Dude,
what
you
it
see
was.
so many success stories of like a 50-year-old who has like millions and millions and millions and they'll tell you, when I was 47, I was homeless.
Age doesn't matter. I think that the only thing that matters is if your idea is good enough, and you're willing to pursue it.
Make
If
people
you
listen.
have the conviction and the idea, the world is your oyster. With some things considered, obviously there are issues around. I mean, obviously there are financial hurdles involved and all that kind of stuff. But in a perfect world, if you have the conviction and you have the idea, anybody can do it. Any age, any creed, any religion, any race. I mean, obviously there are barriers for everybody. There are some barriers that exist for some people that don't exist for people like me. That being a upper middle class white guy. But with enough conviction, anybody can do it, in my opinion.
I appreciate you acknowledging that. Not even.
I have to. It is the truth, right?
Not even like in a salty way or in like a way to gaslight you or whatever. I was just like, because you might have had an easier journey, but somebody, because of their origin or their, we talked to, maybe this is not too extreme of an example of this, but like some of our cousin, for example, who wanted to enter film, for like somebody from a cultural background that more readily accepts that type of profession, like a white family, like I don't want to be offensive in that way, but for like a white family,
Sure.
they might be more willing to accept one of their own going into like the film industry rather than like an Arab family. So that's another like there's barriers, but him as well with enough conviction, like he was set on it. He said, I want to try this. This is my dream, and he went and did it. So you can still, like, even if you come from certain disadvantaged communities because of race, color, religion, whatever, like,
Yeah.
that's not don't let that be the reason that you stop going hard, because there's gonna be people out there, and if you who are gonna beat those barriers, and if you don't try to be one of those people, then like the most you can do is try, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
know?
You will need more conviction for sure,
Yeah.
because you will face hurdles that other people might not necessarily face, and you'll need the additional conviction to overcome those, whether that's financial hurdles or that's racial hurdles or like racism. They can be overcome, but you will need the conviction. I mean, obviously sometimes they just can't be because people are assholes. But
Yeah. Live it out there, broski.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, but no, that makes sense. So like for me, yeah, I just like focus. I think there needs to be more focus on entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And allowing people like to incubate their ideas in a way.
Absolutely.
I feel like they should more teach that in schools too. Like encouraging. Like I think we're so fortunate. We came to this university.
Yeah.
It preaches like entrepreneurship, velocity,
Yeah.
whatever key terms, Shark Tanks. They put like hackathons, incubator, whatever. Right, like all type of different infrastructure to help you blossom your business.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's
But that's like a small.
yeah.
That's such a small percentage of the world that has access to these. Like in high schools, typically you don't learn about you're not taught to practice entrepreneurship and problem solving in that way, in like in terms of in the practical real world. To be taught that's the route.
I think the issue is inherent in education, actually. I think that at an elementary and a high school level, and in some cases at a post-secondary level, the way that education is structured is that it puts further value on information retention than it does on critical thinking and problem solving. And I think that if you were to flip that switch, actually you'd see, flip that, you would see an increase in entrepreneurship, because all an entrepreneur is an individual who can recognize a problem and then solve that problem and solve it en masse for people.
All an entrepreneur needs as well, not necessarily to solve the problem himself, but to theoretically understand that there is a way to solve. There's a lot of business owners that have extremely little knowledge on their business.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
You just partner up with someone who does have knowledge. Suddenly,
I think even more than that, like when I came into Phros, I didn't know the first thing about the fitness industry other than what I had learned from my own personal trainers when I grew up playing soccer. Football.
Okay.
Sorry.
After your point, finish your point.
Yeah. But you can learn it. Like everything that you need to, in my opinion, now with the internet, everything that you need to learn, you can learn via YouTube or Wikipedia or whatever it is.
Facts. No, for sure. What I wanted to say is I wanted to big you up a little bit. Bro, you played football damn near professionally almost.
No, I never got close to the pros.
You were serious about it.
I was very serious.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I pursued NCAA schools. I had some pursue me. I was very fortunate that way.
NCAA is like, in America, it's like the colleges you go to that like have NCAA league that will vet you into professional football.
Like, so if he had gone there, he could have declared draft for MLS.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I could have. The other thing is I played overseas a little bit. I had some trials overseas.
Whereabouts?
In England and in Sweden.
Where in England?
So at Wolverhampton Wolves.
No way.
And then at Sweden, there was
Big up.
It's hard to pronounce Swedish words. Djurgården and then AIK Stockholm.
Any of them go well?
Yo,
No,
you know
I mean,
AIK? You know AIK, like, I rate AIK hard heavily because they have Iraqi players there.
Oh, really?
Or they had at that one point. One of our like more.
Is that Ahmed Yassin?
Ahmed Yassin used to play for AIK. After he left Örebro to go there for a bit, then he went back to Örebro.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
AIK is a cool. Playing football in Sweden was interesting because
the weather.
But they don't have as many indoor facilities as Canada does, and what they have instead is heated turf fields. So you'd see like these massive snow banks. And then you just see like an empty turf field because the turf field was heated to whatever it was to melt the snow. But it was so cold, man. Oh my god! I don't know how anybody can play there full time. It's crazy.
I remember when it was
Swedes are built different.
When it was like 5 degrees here and intramurals were going on, and they asked me to go play football in intramural. I can't.
Growing up playing soccer in Canada, it's the same. Like it's like 4 or 5 layers. You got a hoodie on, and then you have like a jumper over top of that, and it's just.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
No, it's tough. I can never do it. We're hot climate people for sure.
Yeah, but equally, like, I remember I used to have training sessions out in like 45-degree weather.
Oh, yeah.
They're brutal. They're brutal.
Yeah. Especially on AstroTurf. The most that you feel is your feet.
Apart.
Yeah.
Like your feet get so hot.
Do you remember how we used to have the football trials on the AstroTurf in the beginning, like towards the end of the summer, and it was still 45, 50. You know, and your feet used to burn after. But I will take that 100 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Before I played 5
I don't know, man.
weather.
When I was like 11 or 12, I think I was 11. We had there, like in Canada, there's the whole build up to the national team, and to get to the national team, you go through the district, the regional, the provincial program, and it like through the age groups, right? So you start off at 11 with the district program, and I was in the district program, and we had a camp. It was like a 4-day just like training camp. And it was on AstroTurf. It was in August or end of July, and it was like 40 degrees out. And I had this is like the first time I'd ever worn synthetic shoes, because up until then, like my parents had just bought me like the leather shoes. But I had the new Mercurial like synthetic shoe, and those things trap heat like it's nothing. And I came off of that. I had like 8 blisters on each foot after the first day.
It's tough.
It's
terrible.
tough.
It's so bad.
But yeah.
Well, you were a center back, right?
Excuse me.
What were you?
Striker.
You were a striker?
The disrespect.
Why do I remember you saying
The
you were a center back?
disrespect. I know I'm slow now, but hey.
I've never seen you play, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've only heard.
Fair enough.
You don't know
But so
Aidan
yeah, what happened to? Why did you stop playing?
So I had. It took a while to get to the diagnosis. I had a few doctors who just thought it was like bad shin splints, but it actually is called acute lateral compartment syndrome. And what happens is the tissue around the muscle that kind of keeps it all in place inflames and it cuts off circulation to your feet. So had I continued on long enough, beyond when I decided to stop playing, I was at risk of losing my foot because at least that's what the doctor told me.
But you're good to play recreationally, like for.
I can play it recreationally, but now I just play. I mean, if you watch me, I don't play defense, and I just sit like in center mid, and whenever we have the ball, I'll get the ball and I'll pass it off, but I don't do much running. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, that's tough, but like you look where it's led you. You've reapplied yourself.
Absolutely, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, maybe the money of a Premier League player would be nice, but I don't think I was ever going to get there anyways. So
fair enough.
It is. It's hard to get to the Premier League, man. So I was never even close.
You never know. Wolverhampton Wolves. That's crazy.
That's tough.
That is crazy. But so towards the end of every episode, we'd like to ask our guests to offer any advice to any audience of their choice. If there's one word of advice you can give to any listener or watcher, what would it be?
You wouldn't even read your own podcast, bro.
That's actually facts. Oh, they might read the subtitles on YouTube.
Fair enough.
Do we have subtitles?
They get auto-generated.
Yeah.
So if you switch them on, actually, if you struggle to understand what we're saying, which is a lot of our Iraqi audience struggles to understand what we're saying, switch on the subtitles. It will be very clear.
Thanks for saying that at the end of the episode. Really helpful.
It just came up just now.
But yeah, Aidan, any advice?
Any advice? I guess I'll put my message out to anyone who's thinking about starting a business. If you have an idea, maybe you're not even thinking about starting a business. Maybe you're just thinking about starting a project or whatever it is. I'd say just go for it and talk to anybody that you think is willing to listen. Even if they're not professionals in that space, listen to everybody's opinion. That's the best thing that you can have. That's the most easy access to free information that you will get is just people's opinions. Because to be honest, everyone wants to give their opinions. Everyone wants to be heard, and if you just ask the questions, people will eventually respond. So I'd say just get started, start asking around if you have any ideas, and just do it. Just go for it. I feel like I'm repping Nike a lot today. I got the hat on. I keep saying just do it, but I'd say that's my message.
But that's the message. If you guys don't take away anything, young entrepreneurs, from this episode,
just go
take
for
away
it.
the cap.
Just look at the cap.
Just do it.
Yeah,
start your business. Start your idea. Do you have any shout-outs? Anyone that you want to pick up?
Any shout-outs? Big up. My co-founders, Josh and Matt. You guys for having me on, first of all. Through Deep Waters. Remember, Through Deep Waters, TDW22 on Phros.ca for a 20% discount for any
TDW22.
Yes. And that's it. I'd say, I look forward to seeing how this goes.
Bro.
It's been a pleasure to be on.
Do you have anyone you want to shout out? Because
no, not a single person. I hate everyone.
Okay.
Shout out Mama, shout out Baba, Mush, and my friends I don't care. Continue.
Okay. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine in Vancouver called Girly, right? So Girly is a friend of ours that I met through our friend Ali, who's another friend of mine in Vancouver, right? And she was so kind enough. I've went to Vancouver twice. She was so kind enough that both times, like first time she hosted me at her place while I was staying there, right? Because my friend was also staying there, so she was kind enough to also host me as visiting my friend, and she was always very nice, good to me, and we kind of became friends from that. And then the second time I visited too, she was kind enough to invite us all for lunch over and introduce us into her family, her kids and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful. She even got me this Roots thing that I'm wearing right now. Shout out to her. I just want to say thank you so much for this.
She's never gonna watch this episode.
No, she'll watch it hopefully, and I appreciate that. Shout out to you, and shout out to my boys back home, everybody, all the guys. Shout out to all the graduates. Shout out to everybody who's graduated.
Alumni, not Hussein, no. Fuck
Hussein.
Yeah.
And that being said,
if any young individuals who are looking for friends,
please, I'm taking no need for application. You're already in. Please, all my friends are graduating next week. I beg you.
Post for the thumbnail one time.
Sure.
And with that being said, Aidan, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming on
guys
the
for
episode.
having me.
Sure, of course. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it. And with that, we out.
Have a good
Take
night.
care.